Welcome to the Dawg and Gus show, now on Fetal Radio.
What's up, dog?
Not much, Gus. You?
It's you with the handheld.
I know, right?
He's special.
Very.
Yeah.
My mom thinks so.
Oh.
And so do these guys.
Yeah, we all do actually.
Yeah,
don't
thanks.
worry. This is an amazing. This is amazing for us. We're so happy to have you guys. These are two gentlemen from
Taming Sari, yeah.
Warren.
Hey, how are you?
And Alex.
Hey, thank you so much for having us, guys.
Thanks for coming, man. We're missing Joe, right? That was the only.
No,
Well, we're missing
and-
Joe, Meg, and
Yeah.
our new drummer man, Taylor.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
There you go.
No, I just because Joe's the one that I met.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, you should come on the podcast, you know. I was like, and then I messaged the band, and it went from there.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, as they say.
So super excited to have you. Obviously, a big time Ottawa band. Big news for you guys, right? Like you're going to be doing Bluesfest this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the news while we were doing a photo shoot with Sean Sisk at Overflow, where we're doing a release
Nice.
for the album on May 27th.
That's awesome.
And it was so funny because Joe was looking at the email.
Which he never does. Joe
Which
is,
he-
Joe is not the email guy. He's also not the book podcast guy. He's the rip the guitar guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyways, go ahead, Alex.
So he looks at the email, and then, we're having beers after the photo shoot. And he's like, Alex, can you read this email for me? Can you read it? And I'm like, okay, I guess, I'll put on my reading glasses. And then I reread the email a couple of times, and thank you, Warren.
No problem.
And and then, lo and behold, we got an offer to play.
So cool. So
Yeah,
cool.
on July 9th. Yep.
Yeah. Do you know? So who would you be? Like I know that. I'm sorry I didn't read it, but who's the headliner that night?
We got like Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Alan Doyle.
Amazing.
You've got Tegan and Sarah.
Amazing.
So I think those are the big names that day. When we're on stage, if you don't like our performance, there's these guys named Brand Van 3000 on the other stage, and they seem like they're really cool. Like I would be going to see them if I wasn't playing. So I think there's lots of great options that night. Well, that day, it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
May I tell a story
Yes.
about Brand Van 3000?
You may.
Were you drinking in LA?
No, it was in Ottawa. And the guitarist is from Ottawa.
Yeah, yeah.
And I meet him at Grace O'Malley's, which is a little pub that you guys are in your 30s. I'm in my 40s, so this is like you guys are probably in high school. So essentially, we go to the bar and we're chatting it up, and he's like, "Yeah, man." And I said, "What do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I just play in a little band, and and that song "Drinking in LA" had just come out, and he was just visiting his parents, right? And it was the biggest song going for a little bit. So fast forward to the end of the night, he's at my house at like 4 a.m. playing my little Takamine acoustic guitar, playing like the Beatles and like random stuff. And we're drinking all night, of course, not in LA, just in Westboro actually, where I was living.
In the West End.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, west side of Ottawa.
West side,
so
yeah.
I like
West
LA.
Coast.
So shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
So
Awesome, yeah.
Because
gangsta.
I woke up on my own couch and he was gone, so I don't know what happened. He just drank all my beers and left. So it was a pretty good thing.
Yeah,
That's
the life
awesome.
of a rock and roll star.
I
Sounds
know,
about right.
And a guitarist.
So, guys, with the Bluesfest, what's the process of getting an email like that? What do you have to do?
A lot, I think.
Mhm.
I mean, we've applied many times over the years. I mean, well, obviously this isn't our first time trying to release an album or trying to push forward here. I think we've had a good solid 6 years as a band now, with a lot of ups and a few downs. And I think that we built the resume to the point where it needed to be. And we performed on enough stages where we were able to make the right point that we had to make, and we're grateful. We're grateful for the opportunity, but we definitely feel like we've earned it. We definitely feel like we deserve to be there.
Nice. Yeah, because I was curious because we talked to a couple other bands that also have done that too. They've applied, and unfortunately they haven't heard it. I guess it's not their time yet, but it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, and I think as a band, it's and being from Ottawa especially, that's like the mecca for Ottawa. Really, the Bluesfest is something that we've been talking about our whole lives, right? And I think you said it perfectly, where you earned your spot. You feel like you've earned your spot, and what a great perspective, because a lot of people are like, yes, you're grateful, but also we earn this shit, right? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there's no No fluffing that about, right?
No, we love what we've been doing as a band for the last 5-6 years, and it's been since day one we decided we'd make sacrifices, that we'd go the extra mile, we'd find the extra quality that that the industry's looking for, and whatever it be, recording or live performance. And so yeah, the Bluesfest was like a nice tap on the back, and especially we went through a couple rough months leading up to it, so it was very nice to get that
Good timing.
It's very
pat on the back.
Yeah, it's very special for me because 10 years ago in 2013, I went to Bluesfest on my first day with my wife.
Nice.
So 10 years ago, and Tegan and Sarah was playing. So and it was on a Sunday. So now 10 years later, I'm playing with my band.
And you're gonna get to go watch Tegan Sari with your wife afterwards.
With our band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be able to go see Tegan and Sarah, and she's gonna be there. She's on the guest list.
It's the perfect scenario. The only thing that could have been better was, honest to God, like when I looked at it, the only thing that made me go was it like I wasn't on the same day as Robert Plant.
Yes.
But I think they knew.
Or Shania.
I think they knew that if they put our trailer beside Robert Plant's trailer, that I just would have been standing outside the door, rocking back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, all day. You know.
That
Security.
Would be,
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that would be like you'd be starstruck, right? Like,
That would be starstruck.
Yeah.
That would be starstruck. I wouldn't really know what to do. Just we're not worthy.
Yeah.
We're not worthy. You know.
So Dawg has a story about Robert.
Can I blow your mind?
Yeah.
Back in the day, he was touring, and I used to work at Zach's down on the market, and he came into Zach's with 2 security guards, or a security guard and 2 other guys, and it was like, you're looking at him, he's wearing this big afro, colorful reggae hat and big sunglasses, and we're like, okay, it's the market, so we're used to this kind of stuff, right? So we're not thinking anything of it. So they sit down, and the waitress comes over after a few minutes. She's like, I think I'm serving Robert Plant's band. So I immediately go, I'm looking, and I'm like, I think you're serving Robert Plant. So, of course, news goes out to the Blue Cactus, which was a sister store, and they come running over, and they're looking in the window, and then he takes the hat off, the hair comes down, the glasses come off, and sure enough, it's Robert Plant. So yeah, so
The
I got to
ultimate
chat with him.
reveal.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I got to chat with him for like a minute. He basically said, so I guess my disguise didn't really work. I said, listen, if you came with a ball cap on, we wouldn't have looked at you twice. But he came with that big afro on hat, and a guy actually, one of the servers actually got a signed CD.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he just happened to have Robert Plant CD with him that day.
Wow, good
In
on
the
him.
car or something.
No,
like that.
and he actually had it in the
In
restaurant.
his apron.
Wow.
Like, there's no just in case.
I think that was planned. I think that was rigged.
Yeah, exactly.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yeah, it seems a little odd.
It seems odd.
Yeah, so that's my
He was
Robert
ready.
Plant story.
Dude, that's
nice.
amazing. Well, that's like a few years ago. Foo Fighters, you know, when they were in town, and Dave Grohl went and visited like one of his super fans who was playing in the market, like playing his songs, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, and I was like, that's really cool. Like he just walked up to him and was like, hey, what's up? You know, so
Oh my god.
you know, it's definitely a cool time of year. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I was at that show. That was insane.
Yeah.
Foo
You told
Fighters
me
and
like,
Greta
it
Van
was just
Fleet.
all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, there's 35,000 people
Yeah.
like right in that little.
Well, Greta Van
Space.
Fleet played before them, and
Yeah.
I was standing from here to the doorway from the stage. And then I went to meet my brother, and when I got back, it was like, there's no way I'm getting anywhere close to the stage.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
basically
yeah.
pushed over by the porta potties going,
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you get to see the difference in height and popularity between 2 world-class killer rock bands.
Yeah.
One who's been at the top for like my whole life, and one who's been at the top maybe for 4 or 5 years, you know? And it's like, you'd think like it would be equal, that you'd have the equal, but no, that's of course,
I
Foo
think
Fighters.
it's time. It's experience. It's time.
Yeah.
And Grohl's obviously he was in a small band before that too. So.
Yeah, yeah, but that was that.
Yeah.
that other band didn't
Did
do
you-
much for
Never
me.
mind that.
Oh,
well done.
He's on fire. Woo.
Yeah.
Nice.
He had a little coffee on the way here, probably.
Yeah.
Strictly
Are you both from Ottawa? Is that like your hometown is Ottawa?
I'm from Chesterville, so it's about an hour outside of the city, southeast.
I know it well. I'm on down Bank Street there.
Yeah, oh, there you go, down 31, yeah. So that's where I grew up, and then came to Ottawa, moved to Toronto, failed out of theater school, moved back to Ottawa, dove back into music, and it's been music ever since. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
I grew up in Elmer, Quebec, on the Quebec side, and
Elmer.
yeah, Elmer,
Yeah.
yeah, very bilingual city, and you know, I had my first band in high school there, and I recorded my first album with another band 10 years ago. We went to Montreal, so I kind of stayed in that area, but then I went to Peterborough. I was part of another rock band before coming back to Ottawa ultimately, and then meeting Warren and the guys, and yeah, it's definitely like a journey, and with them, and loving every step of it.
It's so cool.
Every moment.
It's cool how the band that he was in before, they've kind of reassembled now years later.
Proctor Hawk, yeah.
Now they're Proctor Hawk, and they're doing great things in Toronto. But Alex was like, his interesting story to me is he had to make a decision between joining this band or staying in an orchestra.
Yeah, the adult orchestra that I used to be in high school, because I was in the music program, and then in the string orchestra, and then in the stage band, which was like jazz and blues. And when I came back to Ottawa, they wanted me back.
Yeah, that's so strange to me, because the first time he came out to audition, he was wearing like an Iron Maiden t-shirt, and I thought, oh no, maybe he's gonna be like just on the edge of too heavy for me. You know, like maybe he's just pushing that line.
Yeah.
And the bass player before him had done like a 15-minute prog solo to audition, and we were all just like ready to fall over and die. And the band was all French. For me, in the beginning, it was me and 4 French guys.
Yeah.
So it's all been kind of, it had to have been meant to be in some way.
Yeah.
You think that too, because you think about you going through the process, right? Okay, so we didn't go with this bassist or this drummer or this guy, and all of a sudden this kind of all comes right together. This is like it was meant to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Certain things click.
I'm a big believer in fate. I'm a big, you know.
I wanted a producer in Toronto. He knew the same producer in Toronto, and
That was gonna be a question.
and he's in Quebec and I'm in Ontario. We never met each other. And this is the one producer who scouted me when I was at Indie Week in Toronto in 2015 with my old band. And so I was like, I told these guys, I was like, if you're serious, we want to do a real quality product, then this is who I want to go with, and this is how I want to. And Alex was like,
And I had my story. I
that's what I want.
I was in Peterborough with my old band, and we played the Horseshoe on a Wednesday.
Amazing.
And then he was there, and then he was kind of like, yeah, you guys should come record with me. But, you know, working with a producer, it's quite an investment, especially when, you know, it's a 5-hour drive just to get to the studio. And, you know, it's a big investment in your sound, and you're going to hear a lot of things that you probably don't want to hear about, you know, like how you could better yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It depends how you can take, you know, criticism.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you grow as a band, and it's quite an experience, and his studio is just amazing in Toronto.
Well,
so
we had
it's
9
nice.
days in there, and it was like
February,
like a marathon run, you know, where you're just, you know, passing the baton off to the next guy in the relay race, you know, and you start with the pre-production on the first day, and then you're just in it. You're just swimming, trying to get to the next guy as fast as you can.
Drums, bass together, and then you do all the guitars, and then Warren panics and writes all the lyrics.
I'm panicking for the whole
Writes
week because I'm the
everything.
last guy up.
Yeah. I always find that interesting, and I've asked this before, and Dawg will probably back me on it, but it's like, do you find, like, because you only had the 9 days that your work was amazing because you just didn't overthink it, you kind of just put it out there, or did you feel like you left it?
Interesting.
It's a great question.
I think the timeline is good for us to maximize the money and the time and everything that we're putting into it, so that we know, like, oh, this is what we've put the money aside, put the time aside, we put the focus aside. Let's get it done. At the same time, you can look at stories of like Metallica or Aerosmith and them taking like 3 months to punch one solo, and it's like, okay, there's different ways of looking at it, and like it ultimately ends with what the producer's willing to sit with. If you got Bob Rock, he's probably not gonna sit with most of what you want. He's probably got like his own idea all the way through, and you're gonna have to match his idea more so than what you even might have originally thought, you know. So gotta find that producer who wants to help you, you know.
Speaking on that vein, now you knew this guy in Toronto. Did you guys have a sit down before and say, this is what we want? Because you need to get a little bit of a feeling for the guy, right? Like, you're not going to take your baby, as it were, and take it to some stranger and go, okay, produce this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You need to have some kind of...
No, he had to show us a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, he heard Warren's voice, and he was like, this voice suits this sound, this style, the southern rock, the blues, the rock. Like
that's what he does, and we were kind of alternative rock. The first 4 songs we brought him were kind of more alternative. And, so talking on the criticism point, like, and how you deal with it, like, he was like, well, Warren, you've kind of got this wah sound in your voice. And I kind of want to minimize the wah and give you more raw, you know what I mean? And I was like, I guess so. I just kind of feel hurt and burnt right now. But I totally get it, and I've listened now to enough of what he likes, what he doesn't like, that I totally hear what he's hearing. And so I guess it's that type of thing. It's like his ear, the producer's ear needs to be a very special ear, and... all the gear in that's amazing. That's awesome. Like getting to record with high watts from 78 and stuff like that. It's
Mayor Bros
kit that Rival Sons recorded on. So
drum.
Everything is like amazing. Like the whole experience is pretty sweet.
Well, I love hearing the passion in your voices, guys, because that's awesome that you got to work with a stellar producer who was exactly what you expected, right? It was like, he wasn't trying to tell you to do something other than something that might have benefited in the long run, right?
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, when we're having conversations with Ross, he's always saying, like, like, I could be more of, like, a psychologist kind of producer and try to please everyone and, like, make everyone kind of feel like they're rock stars. Or I could be an actual producer and tell you what you need to do for the song to have the best chance possible at being successful and just getting all the parts done. So it's like, it's always a balance in between, like, how much do you press on the gas and kind of put the pressure on, or do you kind of leave the space? And like, just to your point about how much time it takes to make an album, it's like, you could take forever to do one, or you could supercharge your energy and go 10-12 hours a day.
Which is what we did.
It was just what we did.
Yeah.
And you're just living and breathing it all day long, all week long, and you're getting stuff done.
We were terrified that whole week. Was absolutely terrifying leading up to it, because we had to make a change in our band, and it was not easy for anybody. It was incredibly painful. Like any relationship change, it just sucks for everybody involved. So we were all kind of in a bit of a weird headspace, and when
drained.
we had found a drummer for the show for Ice Dragon Boat Festival, and we found a drummer to do the session in Toronto, and we were just like, don't know how this is gonna go. Maybe the session drummer is amazing. Maybe he just doesn't get us. He's got 1 day. He's got 1 out of 9 days to make his imprint on this album. And he was incredible. So, what's Adam's last name?
Cannon?
Yes, Adam Cannon from the Commoners. So they just got back from Europe. They did 25 dates in Europe, and then they did 15 dates in the UK. And they're from Toronto, so that's our producer's band. So he lent us his drummer, and he was awesome. It was so cool.
It was amazing to play with him, because we do the bass and the drums together. So when we got in, I'm like, okay, how is this going to go? How many takes is it going to take? How many takes is it going to take? But like after 5-6, we were just locking in and getting all those songs done. And
you guys wrote a song in the studio.
Creating that foundation for everything else to be overlaid on top. Like the guitar, the rhythm, and Warren's awesome lyrics and vocals. Like it was nice to start with that foundation and have that confidence that going forward in the week. This was day 3 out of 9, so like okay, we got this. We can do it.
Had the drums, I think we felt pretty amazing, because when you don't know the drummer and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, there's that anxiety. But for example, he'd bring us, and we talk about the song beforehand, and what was so cool is he'd say, okay, well, I got like this beat in mind, and it's like a Red Hot Chili Peppers beat from this song, and it's kind of like this, and I think this kind of suits the song. What do you think? And then I'd change it up a bit, so I'd add like these 2 beats in here. What do you think now? And I go, oh yeah. And they go, but what if I go with the Pearl Jam beat? And then I add in a little beat here. And I go, oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
And so
it's all good, but
it was fun to get to play like that. Is a lot of fun.
Well, it certainly gives you some confidence, like you said, going forward, because you're pressed for time. You're thinking, okay, we've done 2 days. We got third day. We don't have a drummer we've never seen before, and he just peels the shit out of the thing, and then you're like, okay, well, we're good. You know, like we're ready to roll, and it makes you feel comfortable and confident, and you just play your best stuff. You know,
and all that anxiety that you have just kind of melts away. It's like,
yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Because you guys are driving up there doing the same thing, right? Thinking about all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we drove up in my Mazda 3, all 4 of us, with 5 guitars, all our luggage, and it was quite the experience. I think Warren was like half.
I was on an angle.
He was I think he was at 45-degree angle.
My butt was angled for 5 hours.
I was perfect, I had the driver's seat.
cozy. Everybody okay back there? It doesn't matter.
And
We made it.
I don't care because I'm driving.
We had crazy experiences
down,
with
kids.
our Airbnb as well. Like nothing about the recording trip was like
Perfect.
easy. Nothing was easy. Everything had to have like a little hiccup. Like we're like we get home after the first day of recording and somebody left the back door open. Somebody had to have because one bag was missing. So Miguel's bag was missing from his room, which opened up to the back. Like he had a door that went out to the back, to outside.
Creepy.
And so we were like, he's like freaking out, and we're like, I don't know, like why would someone come in and take one bag with clothing and leave everything of value? It makes no sense.
There's a laptop right beside his bed, and
So later in the evening, we start hearing like banging on the walls, and like according to Mig, I was upstairs in my room, I don't know, but according to Mig, like loud Rambo movie being played through the vent, like cranked as loud as it could. So the guy underneath us was making like all kinds of noise in his little apartment. So like I was like, I don't care, I'm going to bed. Like we're recording. I'm not thinking about this.
this was the day before we did the drums. Too.
Yeah,
This
was so
before the
stressful. And so then Big and Joe were sleeping downstairs, and they were too like stressed out by this. They were thrown off by this. I mean, these are guys that believe in ghosts and will tell me that there's ghosts and paranormal presence and stuff all the time. Like, they get tripped out by stuff. Yeah. So this was not sitting well with them. So they walked outside the front door, and this guy was standing there, and like he's told them to give the Wi-Fi. Give him the Wi-Fi. And he said it in like a very cruel, menacing kind of way.
Like we were stealing his Wi-Fi.
And
he might have been intoxicated.
We think
might
he
have
was.
been?
We're pretty sure. We're pretty sure that there were certain types of smokes going on, and not like the legal.
The
kinds.
funny ones.
And so
Not weed.
Not weed.
Yeah.
No, like other types, bad types.
Yeah.
And so like we're just like confused and not knowing what to do, but Alex came up with a plan, which was he must just want the Wi-Fi.
So we unplugged the modem, we unplugged the router, bring it all down, knock at the door, and then we just give it to him.
And say, leave us
And just
alone.
leave us alone.
Stop making noise.
He's like, I'm not sure I know how to plug this in. I'm like, well, this is the coax cable. It was
Mig
really
looks at him
funny.
and he goes, I think you're kind of a sketchy guy, eh? And the guy looks at him and he's just like, ooh, like kind of a surprise.
This is new information.
This is new information to me, like tilting his head.
Oh, shit.
And so nothing came easy. The whole trip was just bonkers, but I think it makes it makes it even better now. Yeah.
On your third album.
It's
hey,
coming.
Man.
Hey, man.
Why do you keep starting with hey man?
That's Alex. He's got some ideas.
I'm not the singer, so you don't have to worry about that.
It's just hilarious.
Are you all like extroverts? It seems that Warren is an extrovert. Maybe like of your own.
I think so. I mean, Joe is really great with talking to people and befriending people, and like randomly he'll bring people up to me and be like, oh, this is some guy I just met, and like they're in a band and it's an amazing band and they know this person and that person. And I'll be like, what? Where did this come from? Or like we'll go play pool and Joe will be the guy that like goes and asks random people like, hey, I put money in the jukebox, go pick 3 songs. Like one of those guys. And
very amicable, very easy to approach.
party animal. And Mig is like the French version of that. Like, for example, we went and played pool the other night, and at the end of playing pool, this girl comes up to him and just asked him out. She was just like, I just want to shoot my shot. Like, I think you're a good-looking guy.
And it was so funny because they were speaking English.
Yeah, and they're French. They're both French. Me and Taylor
Oh,
are watching, and we're like, me and Taylor are just like, this isn't fair. We never had girls just walk up to us and tell us they want us. Like, and Mig's like, sorry, I got a girlfriend.
You just say that you're the lead singer in a band. That you get. You have no luck, Alex, because you're a bass player.
Well, yeah.
He's married. He's got more luck than all of us now.
I got married before I got too involved in the bass playing because it would have prevented everything, anything to happen.
Timing, man, timing.
Yeah.
just like the album.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all meant to be. That's great. Go ahead, Dawg, if you have something.
I want to know where the name came from.
Oh, okay. We were looking for names, and we were looking for something that would have some power to it, but also not necessarily be known in North America. So we started looking at ancient weapons that were mystical. So we were looking at things that were like Excalibur. And so obviously you can't name your band Excalibur. I think that's a little bit lame. But
Power metal or something.
Something along that line, with something mystic in it. And then we found the Taming Sari, which is a Malaysian blade. It's a kris, and it makes the user float and invincible. And so I thought that was really cool. And when it translates to in English is Flower Shield. So Joe was actually mad that the band is not called Flower Shield outright. That's what he wants. But I was like, no, I think it's cooler. Like, it's Taming Sari. And then we made our own narrative for it because that's clearly not our culture. So we wanted to create a little side story. And so Sari is Mother Nature, and mankind has always been trying to tame her. And that's the way our band looks at it, Taming Sari. But we pay full tribute to, of course, the legendary Kris.
And like the Flower Shield is represented by the music. Like music has always been kind of like a tool to deal with everything that you get thrown at in life. Like your mental health.
Put up your tunes.
Exactly. Put on your tunes, and you can forget the world, forget your worries. Like
music is the source. It's for sure. It's
If
you're down, you play music. If you're up, you play music. If you're
in between, you play music.
Yeah, pretty much.
You want your twins to shut up, you play music. So it's like,
personal experience?
lately, not to shut up, just to
calm
down. Settle down.
Yeah.
Who's the most influential person in your lives? Or has there been one that sort of got you into music?
I gotta say, like, for me, like, just in terms of musical influence, like, the moment that kind of, like, switched it in my head that I wanted to play bass, and I saw that bass was kind of an instrument that could be a bit more than just, like a rhythm instrument, is when I heard the Trooper for the first time. Steve Harris, like, just laying down that bass, and just seeing his energy on stage, like, to me, that was such a great influence to be like, okay, you can be a bass player, you can play more technical, more interesting parts, you can be an animal on stage and take that control. You don't have to be, in the back. You can have fun.
He's not a back bass player.
No,
he's not a back bass player at all.
I can attest to that by seeing him live. I'm like,
yeah, Alex likes
for
to go
better or
wireless.
for worse, because of my bass. I don't know. Sometimes I've hit Warren once, so with my bass,
but everyone has. Everyone has. That's the way she goes.
Yeah.
That's the way I wake him up.
Rock show, man.
Yeah.
Rock show. You're gonna get hit.
well, that's the thing too. Like when you play on the smaller stages too, it's hard for you to play the way you want to play because you're just so constricted, right? It's like, okay, Warren, get out of my way. I'm gonna go. There he goes.
In the beginning, Joe was like butting heads with me a lot. When Joe first came in and we first did our live shows, I realized like, oh, Joe likes to get to the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And he likes to get his time in. Mm-hmm. So I realized that was different than what I was used to. So now as soon as I feel his presence, I kick back to the drummer like immediately just to let him have those moments because Joe loves it and Alex loves it. They all everyone loves the stage in our band.
That's cool.
It's a dance, right? Like everybody gets their chance.
Well, that's fun too, right? Because then, like the band, if you guys are enjoying yourselves, then obviously everybody else. Because when I was at that show, everybody was having a great time.
Yeah. Such a cool.
Nice.
You couldn't help yourself. Like you're watching Alex, you're watching Joe, you're watching you sing, and so I'm like, fuck, this is great.
Yeah.
Like it's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was such a great show.
Well, people go to a live show to have an experience. They're not going there to like hear your CD front to back. You know, like they're not. If they want that, they can go see a band that has like a backtrack and really has like kind of like.
That being said, you just went to see Red Hot Chili Peppers in Syracuse.
Yeah, that's right.
And they did not play some of your favorite songs, and it sucked, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you know, you always expect like the biggest singles and the ones like, especially for Chili Pepper, like, I mean, another band that's really close to my heart as well. Like, my wife got me those tickets for my birthday, and they played a great set, but there was like 6 or 7 songs that were kind of like B-sides, you know, front to back, and it's just like, it can take you out of a show. So it's always a delicate balance. But the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they can do whatever
they want, right?
At this time, they can.
They don't need my opinion.
That's correct, sir.
But you're entitled to your opinion. You're a fan. Like, it's good that, and you're so analytical about it because you are a musician, right? So it's
for sure.
It's but you're right. They could get away with whatever they want. I mean, remember at Woodstock in '99, they played Fire at the when the place was burning down. And
and
then
Genius.
Like they covered Jimi Hendrix Fire.
Yeah.
And then left. And it was like, okay, well, the place is burning down now, and we're gonna get on a plane and leave.
Yeah,
You know.
Genius or not appropriate. It's either one.
Yeah.
But we're the same way
I
as
like the
fans,
Chili's.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we love the Chili's, but it's
Nice.
the same thing, right? Like, we go to a show, and you want to hear a song that maybe it's not the most popular song, but it's a song that you really like.
Yeah.
Like when we went to see Toto and Journey, I was waiting
yeah.
I
waiting
didn't go.
for one
I didn't
song.
go either.
Me, sorry. And I was waiting for one song from Toto that I love, but it's not a popular song. And I was like, oh, kind of a little disappointed they didn't play it, but it was anyway.
Well, Toto's like the most talented group of musicians maybe to
Right?
ever record music. I mean, you've got Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, who I think might rival them, and you know, some Motown groups. But other than that, I mean, that's
They're
like
pretty tight for sure.
tops of it, you know.
Yeah. Well, because they're all session guys too, right?
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
It's interesting that Toto is the discussion we're having right now because it's like that's one of the best bands that ever played music, and I would be like, really, Toto?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's like musically, you know, like whenever we send off we apply for Factor, we always get graded, right? And one of the categories we get graded in is musicality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure exactly how you measure musicality, except maybe what, Alex, the number of arpeggios or something.
I think it's a combination of factors. I think they're looking at the way your song is structured, the chord progressions. They're looking at the licks and the fills that you're doing in your
Is it
in your
difficult?
track. Is it difficult? Does it match up? Does everything fit well together? Right? It's not like who could play like 20 notes in a second. It's like who could play those notes at the exact right time and with the drummer doing something at the same time. You know, like it's the arrangement. I
So,
think.
so Toto would get a good grade.
Yes, very good grade on
Top of
arrangement.
class, baby.
Yeah,
Fair
that
enough.
stuff.
It's funny, like I do like Toto. I just never would have thought of it that way. You know.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but from what I heard at the show I was at, I got a 70s vibe from the group. Am I on the right path there? Because you guys are talking like 90s.
1870s, yes.
1870s with the harpsichord. Awesome. Maybe a little bit of
gosh. There's a lot of 70s.
a lyre in there as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was good. 1870.
We like the 70s. We like the 80s. We like the 90s, but I think that it's mostly 70s and 80s
Yeah,
influenced.
that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially for your voice, like Warren, we're looking at, Black Crowes,
I don't know.
Aerosmith.
Something
You
southernish.
going to go see them together? Black Rose and Aerosmith?
I'd love to. That'd be pretty amazing. I think,
I looked at the tickets, man.
yeah, probably $1 bajillion.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Can we put expense it on the podcast?
Is the Aerosmith?
We're doing it for research.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we figured out how to do that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is the Aerosmith drummer still in? He's gone.
He's not going to be with them.
So, because he's
Yeah.
the one who tried to ruin the Black Crowes.
Yeah.
Like when they first went on the road together, and he was like called up his manager and said, "Get these guys the heck off of our tour. They're ruining it."
Because they're good.
Yeah, and it almost ruined the Black Crowes. Like it's. So I was like, he must not be there.
No, that's
No,
true.
I don't think he's touring with them.
Well, I think they all had a falling out.
Yeah.
He seems like something like that would be. It just tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah, seriously.
Plus, I would go to see the Black Crowes, to be honest, because I prefer the Black Crowes over Aerosmith.
Well, that's what we
I like
just.
them both, but
I got a text from Gus. Black Crowes and Aerosmith. You want to go? And I'm like, I'll go see the Black Crowes. I'm not keen on. I don't really care if I see Aerosmith or not. But then he told me the price. I'm like, nope, absolutely not.
yeah, no, it's wild.
Yep.
Like even like $350 each. You get, like it's like wild, and you're not in the like.
No.
You're in the nosebleeds for
Yeah.
that price.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts how
But
much it's
last
changed, right? How much the
Last tour.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
It might be worth it.
There's like some 41
Might be
said
worth
they're packing it in
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Yeah, they just said that today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're doing a goodbye tour first.
And a double L.
Of course.
That's right. That's right.
Heaven, it's hell.
It's brilliant. It's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, is there a band that you guys would love to jam with on stage?
Oh,
Or an individual?
oh yeah.
Yeah, well, like a band that I look up to a lot right now, the Beaches.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the Beaches. Like recently, like my wife and I have been to a couple of their shows. Like before their big break, we saw them, and it was just like, oh my god, like these women are amazing. They, they have great energy on stage. They write great songs, and they're unapologetic, right? They just play what they want to play, and yeah, I just got super excited about the whole thing. And then we saw them at Bluesfest last year. Yeah, so I'd love to share a bill with them. They play with the Rolling Stones, or Madonna.
Yeah.
Madonna.
Well, I think that for us, that opening up for like Greta Van Fleet would probably be the show for us.
Mm-hmm.
That or Glorious Sons or Rival Sons. Those are
yeah.
like the bands that I'm like, yes, they're killing it. They're the bands that I would love to open for, But there's so many. I mean, when we got to do a festival with Crown Lands, it was incredible. Like standing at the side of the stage and watching these two guys do the work of 4 or 5 dudes is insane. And then it's fun because of course I'm at the side of the stage where I get to watch what they're doing in between, and like it was cool because Cody, like he just stops playing the drums, he stops singing, he gets up and he leaves. And when he leaves, that's when Kevin picks up that double neck Rickenbacker and just starts playing this incredible solo. So I'm now watching Cody because he's a singer, I'm a singer, I want to know what the heck he's doing. And so he runs back into the back room, into the tent, the artist tent. He chugs a beer. He's got like 4 minutes maybe. So he downs the beer. And then out comes this inhaler thing and he's huffing on it. And I'm like, that can't be a vape. I'm thinking in my head, it can't be a weed vape because like that would ruin your voice. And when Cody speaks, he speaks like very gentle and never raises his voice. And that's so he doesn't hurt it because he's got such a gentle sound that comes out. So I'm like, he can't be doing that. So at the end of the show, I asked him, because he went right out after that and killed it. Like, Reed gets back on the kit. So I asked him afterwards, and he's like, it's essential oils. So, like, it's like special stuff
it's
to
like a
soothe
vaporizer,
his voice, his vocal cords.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, so all these those are the cool things you get to learn when you go see a bigger band, is you get to see the kind of tricks they're doing and what they're doing to entice the crowd. But I mean, that made us all feel so small. Like we felt like tiny mice at the end of their set.
I felt inspired.
Of course,
I felt inspired, but just by seeing the potential of when you put a show together and you spend the time that's required to build it to that level, and you're probably playing that show every time. Every night that you're playing the same show, and it's well rehearsed. You know what you're doing. And it's an experience for your fans, and that's inspiring to me. But yeah, of course, I'm like, oh well.
Oh, the whole
this
thing
guy can
is
play
perfect from beginning to end. The set is just perfectly designed. And I mean, JJ Wild was incredible too. Her band was clearly like next level tight together. They were just family that you couldn't penetrate into. They just were incredibly tight. And I remember standing beside her, and I couldn't even like backstage. And she's taller because she's got heels on. So I was like, oh, nice. There's always great experiences.
She's attractive too.
Oh, beautiful.
I've heard.
Also,
said that.
the Lazies. When we play with the Lazies, then
awesome.
you get to see what Matty Lazy does. How he takes control of the crowd with his guitar playing and has such an incredible party with everybody. And same with Leon. Like, that guy's just a ball of energy that starts and ends when the crowd decides,
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. So when you guys are watching, I know like Gus and I go to shows. We're fans. That's our basis. We love the music. We love to watch it. But you guys, like, you're musicians and you're fans. So which way are you looking at this show? Like, you're looking to see, what is the singer doing now? How did he do that? How did he do that on the bass? Or is that the way you guys look at a show, or you just go there to enjoy yourselves?
I feel like you could be plugged into the Matrix or unplugged when you go see a show. And it can happen simultaneously. So you go see a show as a fan. You're unplugged, right? You're just enjoying the music and like feeling the vibration. But then you know, like your musician brain could be turned on, and then you're just analyzing, like, oh, well, like, okay, like, how, like, what are the aspects that we can take from this, right? You could be analyzing and collecting data, but I think you can't be doing too much of that.
It makes me think of immediately. So I was watching a video on YouTube, Warren Zevon performing Prince's.
Raspberry Beret.
Exactly. And if you're a musician, you notice right off the bat what's happening, and that is that the bass player is having huge issues with his guitar, and he needs to replug in. But if you don't play in a band, you won't notice it. They're professionals. They know how to make it look like Dave's talking and they're fixing it, and then it just, boom, they're playing and it's perfect. But because you're a musician, there's some things you just see. You can't unsee it. When it's happening live, or like when I went to go see Billy Talent, like I loved it. When Surrender comes on, I'm just singing. I don't care what they're doing. But in between, I'm watching like, oh, is their bass player a boogier like Alex? Is he standing back? What's their game plan? And how is the drummer? What's his deal? And all that stuff, of
Then
course.
you're plugged in, right?
I'm
Yeah.
always plugged in, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, there is, like, for example, like I was talking about the Beaches earlier, a band can create this moment in their set where you have no you have no choice but to just be entranced by it.
Yeah.
And Crownlands did that
Many times.
many times.
Many
there's
times.
so there's a way to be a fan and there's a way to be a musician, but they
If you want to get
overlap.
better as a musician, you need to be able to look at the cream of the crop.
For sure.
And realize, like, what makes them creamy. You know?
Yeah. Is it
10%.
just a little bit of milk, or is it?
Yeah.
That's a nice tidbit right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
What makes them creamy?
Very good, Warren.
Them
What
did
makes you
great.
creamy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just kidding. What keeps you up at night?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. No.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
I don't know. I'm a night owl, so I'm always up. I guess anxiety. I've always been running with high levels of anxiety, so I always tend to be up late, I find.
Yeah.
For me, what keeps me up at night is just like thinking about what's next. What can I do more to further our knowledge, to further our position? Because you constantly have to be thinking about that, and a lot of people do a lot of thinking, at night.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, like, sometimes I'll write things down, sometimes I'll
Alex.
overthink something, but like when you believe in something so much and you're passionate about something so much, it occupies like a large part of your wake time, and you just want to do better the next day. I guess that's what.
But
how do I
Alex
do better
is
the
the
next day?
most high functioning human being in the band. Like, most of us we're pretty degenerate, like I'm a pretty big mess up. Joe's a bit
I wouldn't
messy.
say that. Yeah. That's so harsh.
Mig can get dirty. I mean, Taylor's great. Taylor's got all of his shit together, but you've got your shit together. That's what makes Alex the best. We all love Alex. He's like a band dad.
Yeah.
Band mom, band dad.
I have to make food for you guys when
He-
we're on tour,
he
when
makes
we're at the
food.
studio, some risotto and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't go hungry with Alex. That's-
Risotto.
Yeah. Good risotto.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Spaghetti and
It
meatballs.
seems like he's got it together.
Oh yeah, man.
roast chicken the other day. Had you guys over for roast chicken.
Wow.
It was delicious.
Well, there's always going to be somebody who's in control, right? And got his faculties.
Yeah.
Is that you in this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure it's me. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog, you
But I
lose
think-
it, eh?
but I
Dog?
think,
You just go
like-
off the rails.
Yeah, but that's kind of that's the
dynamic.
Yeah, you need it.
I'm the same way as you. My anxiety is just sometimes just crippling. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's,
and
he's
he's-
texting
and
me at like 3 a.m, and I'm like,
Okay.
I'm up because I'm feeding babies. But yes, what are you doing up? Like, if it was me, I'd be eyes closed, looking at the back of my eyelids. you know?
no, I'm just thinking about this or that or something that we did or I have to do, and it's I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you questioned a lot, like yourself at the beginning.
Yeah.
Remember? And then I was like, no, man, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
I think a good leadership team needs both of that.
Yeah.
You need someone that's like over analyzing, thinking about all these things, and you need someone that can drive and execute tasks, right? And I think, like Warren and I think we have like a lot of that dynamic. Like Warren has great ideas, he's very creative, and like he thinks about all those little things, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what can fit through the door of what's possible,
Yeah.
right? You need that like kind of rational kind of like analysis of like what can we actually do today. We can't go to like what were you saying, like, oh, let's go to Chicago and then St. Louis and then like New Orleans. I'm
Okay,
like, okay,
yeah. Well, I have some plans, but you know,
three days.
I'll give you credit because yes, in like when I started saying things like let's make music videos, like the band easily could have been like, no, that's expensive. We don't need to do that. It's not going to gain us what we need. But no, instead these guys were like, okay, what's your idea? And then I could be like, oh, really? What's my idea? Oh, I've got many ideas. So I'd be like, that field across from where we jam is a junkyard, and I love it. And I want us to go into that junkyard and make a video for Wake Up Boy. And we did. You know, like that type of thing where everyone has to be receptive. Everyone has to be like, yes, we're going to play ball. It's volleyball. Keep the ball up, you know? Like, the second somebody says, no, I'm not spending that. I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, well, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like, yes, money's a factor, but it's investing the time and developing the scenario and like meeting up with the videographer and having someone that's willing to play ball too. Like we've been working with Dominic Janos from K Collective. He used to be in Ottawa, now he's in Toronto, but he's always game with our ideas, and it's like, okay, what crazy ideas do you guys have like this time?
I told him, I was like, I want the motorbike to go right into the rabbit, and then I want the rabbit to disappear, and then I want him to reappear and smack him in the head and kill him. And he was like, no problem. And I was like, you're my man.
Yeah.
You know, like,
You got the job.
you're the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
It's very true. You need a creative mind, and everybody should be creative, but also have that person that certainly takes the okay. Listen, like,
how are we gonna make it?
How do we get there, right? But not against the idea, just
Exactly.
more rational thinking, and let's figure it out. Yeah, I like that.
That's the best kind of leadership for me, at least. Like, and I think there's an empowerment to it. Like, one can easily be overwhelmed by like too much information and too much to do. But if you're able to just take it one bite at a time and kind of accept that there's going to be a process, then you can do all the things you want.
Yeah,
We've gotten better at that, though.
Yeah,
we've you know, it's
Well,
been.
But we were learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you also get to know each other better too,
Yeah.
and like your relationship's growing. So yeah, you realize what that person is and that person is, and you're sort of figuring each other out, and it's great. So that's kind of like the melting pot you need, really.
Yeah.
For sure. To make risotto, you need a pot.
Jeez, Alex.
Wow. You should be a dad, man. There's some of these jokes.
He will be.
Yeah,
One day.
no doubt. Creamy topic.
Yeah.
Creamy.
Creamy
Give it a
topic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's a favorite venue that you guys like to play, or is there one that you really want to play? Besides Bluesfest, obviously.
Whiskey a go-go.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Troubadour.
Oh, they played the Horseshoe. That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, the Horseshoe is amazing.
Yeah.
We got to play there several times. Massey Hall maybe one day.
Nice.
Could be cool.
When it comes to Ottawa,
Would you like to, Warren, if we got the...
Massey Hall would be intimidating, but I would do it. Yes, but it would be very intimidating.
Have you seen a new renovation there?
No.
Oh, it's
Not yet,
Pretty
no.
good, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty
In Ottawa, I don't think there's many places we haven't played, which is the cool part. Like, we've gotten the privilege of doing Algonquin Commons, which is a great theater.
The Shankman.
Shankman, which is a great theater. We've played the CTC, which was hell on earth, but amazing at the same time. You know, like...
Bronson Center.
Bronson Center was awesome.
Of course, the Brass Monkey. We love the Brass Monkey.
Of course.
The Rainbow is an amazing venue.
House of Targ.
House of Targ.
Avant-Garde many moons ago, but I'd still say it's a great bar. That's a great
Mavericks.
place. Mavericks, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, see pretty much all of them.
Yeah, right? They're all good places in
Seasoned.
Ottawa.
Yeah. I've been to a few to watch a few bands. It's fun.
Redbird. I have not played Redbird yet. There you go. That's a new one I have not played yet.
Yeah.
And Overflow. This will be our first time playing
Yeah,
Overflow.
Overflow. Yeah,
On
that's-
May 27th, yeah.
Yeah, talk about that.
Okay, so we're going to release the album. It's 8 songs. We released one of them already called No Shelter. This was like a year ago. And then we found out when we recorded that song, like, we got some funding. We didn't get enough to record like another 8 songs, but we got enough to record like another 6. So we were like, okay, we have No Shelter and we have this other song, Too Little Too Late, we haven't released yet. So we're going to package those with the 6.
Nice.
So we'll have an album of 8 songs. And The Flood we just released. We felt very passionate about that one. It was a lot of different pieces coming to us for the flood. For example, one time we were in Toronto recording and it was like raining. And the water was like up past our knees when we were walking. And the cars
The streets were flooded.
Like flooded everywhere. And to go get pizza, we had to like walk like with no shoes on in Toronto down the street.
Knee high.
So like we had that kind of memory coming through when we were writing the flood. And then also like I started calling out to these two girls, Dina and Darla, when we were singing in the room, and I was like, Alex is like, who are they? And I'm like, I don't know, my daughters or something. Like, I'm coming down, they're my daughters, man. And then Alex was like, well, I'm going through stuff with my family right now, and it's with horses. You were saying like the family couldn't.
Yeah. Taking care of the horses,
and
taking care of the stables, with death in the family, just to change the dynamics. Like all
a line at the end about catching the thief.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm off to catch the thieves. And again, that happened when we were in Toronto. We had a thief come into our room. And it's like, it was cool, like, just relating all these little connections.
I feel like there was a lot, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I'm esoteric and something, but it just seemed like the lyrics and the story came from kind of like everything from the exterior and manifests itself in this song.
Very cool.
May 27th, Overflow, Resist the Throne. So, this guy's amazing. His band's amazing. I've known Rohan for a number of years.
We've met Rohan.
Isn't he great?
Yeah, very talented guy.
So, Rohan and his folks, who are also super awesome, called me over years ago just to chat, and they wanted to buy some merch. So, since that day, I've been like, yeah, Rohan, whatever we can do to help you and get you going. And, you know, he doesn't need help, obviously. He's killing it. So, we're excited to have Rohan and Resist the Throne. And then after that, we've got the Lionels. And these guys are legends when it comes to Ottawa music. Robbie Rigg is one of the guitar players that I would put up against Joe Frazier.
And they work together.
At Long and McQuaid. So when you talk about like who do you want to play with, Joe is incredibly excited to get on stage and they're going to play a song. Robbie's going to join us on stage, and I think that's going to be really cool.
Nice.
No surprise there.
You know, I've known the Lionels take me back to like 2013, 2012 when I was doing the Big Money Shot with them at Live 88.5, and they beat me. They defeated me fair and square, and they were awesome and taught me some good lessons. And like, I'm just so happy that they're still here and that I'm still here, and that we're still kicking butt.
So there's still tickets available? What time does it start at?
Yeah, so like the show starts at 8 and tickets are $20. There's lots of tickets left. So get yours now because they're gonna sell fast in the next couple of weeks. And we have lots of goodies prepared.
The guitar.
Yeah, we're gonna have a raffle of an autographed guitar that's been played by our guy Joe Fraser.
Yeah, he'll play it that night.
So you can buy your tickets for that raffle, and we'll
have a party.
We'll have a party. Yeah, it's at a brewery. It's at Overflow Brewery. They have great beer, and it's just gonna be awesome.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's where you're debuting the new album too, right?
Yeah.
All the songs off the new album.
Here's the trick. If you want to hear the album before, you can hear it on May 13th, but it's not going to be the same. We're not going to have all the great in-between things, and this is going to be in Kingston, so it's kind of our warm-up. We're going to do like our dress rehearsal in Kingston.
Yeah.
And it'll be awesome, you know? So if people are in Kingston, they're going to get to hear the new songs. And then, of course, May 27th in Ottawa, we'll do it upright.
Very cool.
And we're just so excited to play all these new songs live for the fans, because the fans have...
Well, they're everything.
They've been supporting us for so long, and...
You guys know them.
Yeah,
you guys have met them.
Yep.
The Trevors, the Kylies, the Kyles,
Elaine,
Dave, all of them. Like there's a lot of this crew that Ottawa bands should know about. There's great music fans in the city. You just got to tap into them and befriend them and be good to them. You know, be a good person, and you'll have great people that in the city has that love music.
Oh yeah,
I'm finding that now. When
we were shocked about how many people like. And sort of speak over you, Dave, and you'll be able to. But it's interesting. Like we didn't realize how deep it went in Ottawa, and it was like we all knew our Ottawa bands, and we knew Dawg's a huge Monkey Junk fan, so we had Matt Saab on, and it was like okay, yeah, I know who Monkey Junk is, of course, and then it's like Taming Sari comes on, or like we're talking to different bands that are all Ottawa people. and the support that they have. And when we did that CD release party for Sunday Riot Club, it was like all these people. Like all these people show up to every show. People come from Kingston, for crying out loud, just to come watch you guys. You know?
Canadian Music Week, we had 7 people from Ottawa drive out to Toronto to come see us at the Wheat Chief. Like we were like, what are you doing here? This is a 25-minute set. Like what in the world did you drive 5 hours for? They're like, we love you.
Yeah,
and it's like like.
But I noticed that too with like within the bands too. Like I've seen pictures of you guys hanging out with the guys from Winter, with Kyle, with this. You know what I mean? And it's so. Like Gus said, we're just scratching the surface here. We're learning about a lot of different bands, but there's so many more. You know? And it's hard to keep up. We're trying to, but it's just like we want to meet as many as we can and get them on and get to talk to them and stuff, and just like promote the hell out of Ottawa music because it's amazing.
That's kind of our credo now. I mean, it's sort of become. It's not about us anymore. It's about we want to make it so that people hear about Ottawa music, and that's kind of our thing.
That's a great.
I'm very cool with that. I'd love to get bigger, but that's just because I'm like this guy, and I just think,
And I'm like this guy. We're like, oh my god, no.
Exactly.
How do I get into that little tunnel? Like I love that metaphor. You know.
You
just gotta.
Yeah.
80s or 90s, boys. 80s or 90s.
Oh, we have to ask that question
before we end.
I'm a 90s baby. I grew up in the 90s, and most of my life I would have said 90s, but I'm at the point now where I appreciate the genius of the 80s.
Look, I'm a metal guy. Like that, those are my roots. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica. So the '80s all the way.
Wow.
And like that's what kind of that '80s just had that energy.
2 for 2, baby.
Yeah, it really had great energy. Like especially the.
I just feel like it was an area.
Stupid songs.
I love 90s grunge though. I do love 90s Seattle rock. Like that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's just their
grunge era is okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Come on.
Just okay. Some pretty good some pretty good bassists came out of that.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah,
a few.
But no, I get it. I like 80s music too. It's just an ongoing thing that we've had since the beginning, as we asked.
Well, even before the podcast, we would have these debates.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, it's 90s. And he'd be like, no, it's 80s for this, and this. And I'm like, no, it's 90s for this, and this.
Right.
And we're both right.
But then I also like hip hop, and hip hop really came into its own in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. In the 80s, there was hip hop. Don't get me wrong, like Run DMC, LL Cool J, all that stuff. However, it really took off when Dre went out on his own, and then Snoop Dogg came out with his Doggy Style album, and then Nas is around. Tupac, Biggie, and then anyways, I'm not getting.
Yeah,
it's true though.
For
that's
sure.
what we grew up. That's why I'm a '90s kid. That's what I grew up through. And Tupac and Biggie when I was super young and not knowing what the heck was going on, and then you get a little bit older and you go, oh wow, that was a big boom in music. Like that was some powerful stuff that came out.
CDs too, right? Like CDs were a huge thing because so cheap to make, and you would charge $20 for them, right? So the most money ever made in the music industry was in the 90s.
During the CD era, I believe it for sure.
Yeah.
And then Napster came along, and I was part of that. I was 13 years old on Napster.
That was horrible, man.
LimeWire.
The death
LimeWire and Napster.
the end of music. It was the end of making money in music for sure.
Yeah. That's why.
At least with the physical.
At least with the physical copies.
Physical copies. Yeah. Now there's a resurgence of vinyls. Like it's just crazy. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen. You just have to ride the wave and.
The Ottawa music scene
gotta get your music out there.
It's changed. Yeah. Like when I was a part of the scene in like 2009 to 2013, it was a little bit different than it is now. And I would say after, like when Rebel came along, it was just in the early days, it was a strong kick to the scene. And when Civilian came kicking doors down, that was a strong push for the scene. Same with the Lionels. We've had over the last 10 years, we've had some artists, the Peptides. Come through and literally throw knockout punches and just push the scene themselves forward.
How good are the Peptides?
Incredible. We played with them and
absolutely entrancing.
It was mutual love. Yeah. We had mutual love for one another. We lost them by 0.5 in February. Jim Beam Canadian Music Week search. Yeah. But we're in Canadian Music Week now anyway, so it all works out. You keep going, you keep pushing, but we fell in love with those guys for sure. They're all amazing.
Well, it's funny because Dale Waterman, who's in the band I went to high school with, and we haven't had him on the show, which we were going to, but then when we met Rebecca Noel, she's just so charming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Like this bubbly girl that's just so brilliant, and then also sings the lights out, man. Like she's got one of the best voices out there.
Amazing,
anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I would say.
Oh, there's incredible voices in
Oh, yeah.
Ottawa. There's, oh man, especially if you
And
go to the
Hamilton.
Laugh. Go to the Laugh on a Tuesday night on open mic, and sometimes you will find incredible voices,
Yeah.
like jazz singers that just make me go, ugh.
Like, we'll go see Lucky Ron on a
Oh, yeah.
Saturday or something.
Yeah.
Lucky Ron.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
always
Still
a good
rolling,
time.
eh? You still doing
Of course.
it?
Yeah.
I haven't been out in a long time, but I love Lucky Ron. That was one of my things that if anybody came to Ottawa to visit me, like I have siblings in Toronto, and I was like, let's go to the Laugh, and they're like, what's the Laugh? And I'm like,
It's the oldest bar.
It's the oldest bar in Ottawa, and it's also like before they did the renovation, the shittiest bar in Ottawa. But it's still amazing. And then we saw Lucky Ron, and like people throwing cigarettes at him and stuff like that. Everybody's like, "What the hell's this?" He's like, "That was number 4, man. You gotta throw cigarettes. It's just the way it is."
That's the rules.
Yeah.
It's like going to go see The Room
Yeah.
with Tommy Wiseau, like at the Mayfair. There's
Oh,
like
gosh.
this. I mean, I don't know if you ever had like you ever
Oh,
went
my
to a
gosh.
screening of The Room, but it's like people bring spoons. They throw spoons at the.
That's a trip, man. It's really
At the
great.
screen. Yeah, you got those Ottawa traditions that are like really awesome that people need to know about, and yeah, you guys you're helping with that, and
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
Thank
It's
you.
Yeah,
nice to be
thanks
here to do
guys.
that.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was so great to have you. Thank you for
It was
coming.
just a lot of fun.